I consider I would call it transformational expressionism, but it's also transformational in the sense that it's a narrative, and it depicts what's happening in my life, what I feel about life, my politics, and everything about me. It's a total expression of me. Hi, I'm Sheila Seguin, and I'm a visual artist. I work at all mediums, paintings, printmaking, collages, and I'm also a teacher. I teach people to get in touch with their creativity and to work through traumas in their life through art. I'm born in New York City, Brooklyn, and I did art ever since I remember, ever since I could draw, I had a hard time doing art in school because they wanted us to follow the line, and I couldn't even make a straight line with a ruler, So I never thought I could do art, but I did art on my own, and always did art, drawings. At first, there was different things I tried, in fashion design and other forms of art, but my dresses were beautiful. I started by going to become a designer, but my dresses couldn't be made into dresses. They were more on paper. They were beautiful. And I tried interior decorating, and I tried other stuff. I went to New York School of Interior Design, and I was in NYU, and my father didn't want me to be at NYU taking art. He wanted me to be studying history, and I didn't tell him that I was taking art, and he booted me out. So as I had a number of studios as a kid in the village. I rented apartments for about $10 a month or something like that, and I used my lunch money and painted in that, and because I was forbidden to do art in my household, I became so committed to art. I can't tell you, I think in a way being, blocked from doing art, my father said, I don't want to spend $2,000 a year for you to sit on cushions and smoke opium. That's what he thought, being an artist was, and it certainly wasn't that for me. I was growing up in Brooklyn, and, in a house that was so perfect, you couldn't drop a thing on the floor. It was so, perfect, and that's why I wasn't allowed to paint it. I couldn't make a mess, that was the big thing. But underneath, there was a lot of stuff going on, which was incest. I'm an incest survivor, and I was incested from the age of 2 to 5, and I didn't have memories of it until I was about 58 years old. And then I started working through it by, being in therapy and doing my art, which is my book over there about, my experiences that came back to me, after my mother died. I was afraid I would kill my mother because every time I did anything she didn't like, I was giving her a heart attack or heart palpitation. I thought I was upset by the Holocaust, so I did a lot of, paintings of women being abused, and it turns out it was my own stuff. And then I started doing lots of work on that, and at the Knitting Factory we did performances, and eventually we got on cable and then PBS, and we did a series of work, a group of women about our art and what they meaningful, like self-esteem, mothers and daughters, and I showed my work in that. We had about 5 shows, 5 different, performances, about 5 half-hour, I think, performances, and New York was the beginning of me getting in touch with my childhood and my memories, and I taught at the Feminist Art Institute and did painting there, and it was kind of nice too, because in a way we painted, when there were no classes, and then we had to stop at a certain time, and I always hated to stop my painting, at an important time. But I learned one important thing, is that if I stopped my painting at a good point, then I'd come back to it. So it was actually a great thing to stop, and we had shows. We had the first show we had was called Free Martinis, and we gave people free martinis, and we had about 500 people at the show. We didn't sell anything, but we gave a lot of martinis, and then we had free martinis too. So that was really exciting. So I showed around a lot in New York and taught there, you know. And I guess I got to a point, you know, where, you know, I had a really run-down apartment in New York, really tiny. It was falling down, everything, and the landlord wouldn't fix it and tried to throw us out because we had a rent-stabilized apartment, and told us the building was collapsing imminently and people moved out, you know, but few of us stayed because we didn't believe it, and we ended up suing the landlord because there's nothing wrong with the building. And after a while, you know, I kept, you know, feeling, you know, after I had worked through my incest stuff and I felt a lot of entitlement, I decided to move to Mexico. And that was a great, great thing, moving to Mexico. It was really giving myself, letting myself be entitled to have a very, very happy life, more space, and, you know, painting in Mexico. So I was very happy, and I just showed my work in San Miguel. I first worked, I had a really nice studio, and I had a couple of art shows in San Miguel, and it was great. And Puerto VallARTa I loved, you know, and I still love being here. I expect, you know, this is where I'll be and go back to New York every year. And I decided to stay in New York and Puerto VallARTa and go visit my kids in California when I can, once a year. So I'm very happy here. I feel like there's so much opportunity, and it's a thriving art thing, especially with Art VallARTa, you know. And I'm happy. I live, you know, a half a block away, and I swim here, I do my artwork here, I do everything but live here. I teach here. I was teaching here for a long time. I was teaching freeing your creativity classes and helping people get in touch with their imagery. And unfortunately, I got this diverticulosis, which made me sick, and I had to cancel a lot of workshops because I never knew when I was sick, so I stopped teaching. So in my classes, the main thing I had them do is do art where you can't make a mistake, like do monoprints and there's no way of making a place. Slap things down and pull it on, and then look at what you got. And from there on, develop it, you know, but don't, you know, be uptight, and use the colors you like, you know. And people just I thought it would take all these exercises to get people free, you know. I had these tapes and meditation tapes. Turns out that after a few minutes they were all doing art, and it was all over the floor, you know. So they needed somebody just to give them permission, I think. That was the main thing. Doing their own things instead of doing apples and, you know, things that were standard. And I feel that art comes from the inside, not from your head. It's not a thinking process, you know. You have to almost let go and let it happen, you know, without thinking. I don't think when I do my art, you know. Sometimes I have something that I really want to bring forward, an idea, and that's harder for me to do because then I have to find how to do it. But usually it comes from my unconscious, and, you know, that's what's there, and, you know, I just let it go. And I work on a lot of things at once, so I don't get caught up in one thing, you know, and I just do it, and then it doesn't feel, and then I move on to the next, and it's not a process of thinking, and I try to get that to happen with my students, and it does, you know. They do very, very original work, and yeah. When I looked at my work, this is the cover. When I looked at my work, I realized a lot of my work during that time and way before that time were about my incest, you know, my own experience, but I was not consciously aware of it. I didn't know about it. It was unconscious, you know. I didn't know, but it was coming out in my work. Okay, this is an etching I did about you know, A lot of my incest stuff I felt happened many, many years ago, you know, in ancient times. I try to correlate it with ancient times because I had memories of ancient times. I'm not going to say, well, you know, I could say I had memories of past lives, but, you know, I don't know how people feel about it, but I had vision. So this is, you know, I came from a very, very religious background, and this is a mother sacrificing the little child to the father, the perpetrator sitting on a throne. And these are religious figures who have little babies, rabbis or stuff, have little babies and girls on their laps, you know, and they're, you know, moving toward him, because I always felt, in a way, my mother sacrificed me. And I felt that this happened in ancient times. And I did a lot of study about, found books, you know, like Florence Rush, The Best Kept Secret, and all the, you know, writings that, you know, said it was okay for men to marry or, you know, sleep with girls about 3 years old, as long as they got paid. And here says, this is a poem I wrote, which I'm not going to read because it's going to take too long, but a little child. And I guess this is all the writing I did, you know, about each piece. And I told my story, and I did writing about each piece. And it was about children being abused. And I guess this is, I think, a pivotal one. It's called Ambivalent Feelings of Success. But she's sitting in the middle, nervous of being on stage, and these are demons of the past, and everybody watching her. And this is the boat of women that have come to save her, you know, and this is her coming out from the water, with the water as the unconscious. And yeah, I felt that was an important thing. And that was something I sort of visualized before I did it, you know. It just came to me. I couldn't paint for a long time, and then all of a sudden this painting came to me. And this is a painting of somebody being sacrificed, you know. She's dressed in a pretty dress, an Easter dress. I don't know why I made an Easter dress when we're Jewish, but, you know, I always admired people who had Christmas trees and Easter dresses. We didn't have any of those rituals in the Jewish religion. So she's in an Easter dress with birthday candles on her head, and she's on a crucifix, so she's like tied down. It's called bound. I guess I want to. Okay, this painting is called Who's on Top, and it's a multimedia piece, and I use all my images in my paintings. In other words, all these things are either paintings, photographs, drawings, and this is one of my big paintings. Of course, it's color, and this is the other one of my big paintings of two women. And did I say the title was Who's on Top? And this is an etching. It's a big etching, but I've cut out, you know, a picture of it. And this is He's on. It was Who's on Top, because at that point I was concerned on who's on top, men or women, the bosses, you know, because I had a lot of relationships, you know, and that was always a big issue. And so I have him on top and Sheila on the bottom, you know. Let's see, and this I'll say briefly. This is in Cuba. These are photographs I took of Cuba when I was. This is one of the first etchings I did. This is an etching. It's sort of scenes from my life, you know, pictures and scenes from my life. This is a drawing. This is a photograph. This, you know, depicts Mexico. You know, that's it, you know. But it was very hard putting it together, making it work. So I'm, you know, very happy it suddenly worked, because it's very busy, you know. Well, my life was busy and chaotic and exciting, and you know, that really shows it. I was one of the I was the first founding member to help Natalie create Art VallARTa. Kind of make that your priority. I always had to do other things. I had to work for the post office. I had 3 kids to raise, but I always stuck to it. I always, had faith that this is really what I wanted to do. And if you stick to something, I think you overcome it, and don't give up. Continue, and even if you have to do other things, like work or do something, you'll always find a way of doing art. That I had a lot of women mentors and people that helped me, so I tried to mentor other young women, and help them, and because I was so shy, anytime I moved ahead, there was always somebody to push me ahead, because I was reluctant, but I had a lot of help from women in my life. Well, my exhibition was very exciting, to put together so many pieces of my artwork. I had never shown so many pieces all at once, and the opening was wonderful. A lot of people came, and I got a lot of very good feedback. Evolving Narratives was all the aspects and changes in my life and the things that I did and went through, personal and how that I traveled and going through my own personal issues and my growth, and my relationships and spirituality and my political. I was we didn't go around the room, but I was very moved when I went to Burma, and I did 2 pieces about Burma because it was, so devastated, and so scary. So I feel like, I kind of, express my feelings in my art, politically and personally. Well, my inspiration for my artwork is everything that happens to me and moves me, and I think, color, design, and, the aesthetics of it. I do very heavy subjects, but I think they're very aesthetically pleasing. That's important to me, the colors, the composition, that's important to me, as well as the content. I feel like, the execution and the content, Well, these are paintings that I've either finished or I'm working, and they're in progress, so I'm constantly looking at them, and in a way I'm working on them all at once. And as you can see, they're different subjects. This is when I'm working, these are the, I'm working on these, and this I'm still working on. I look at it and see if I want to do, and I've, done a lot of drawings, this is drawings of myself, and what I'm saying is it's a combination of things, some of them are drawings. So this is one with beads and things, and this is one I just finished, and this here one I'm working on. I don't, I'll probably do more on it. This is sort of more of the background. I do an elaborate background, but I always feel the need somehow to add figures and other stuff rather than do straight abstractions. And I started using different things than the one next to it. Yeah, different little things in my work. Well, that's something new. This is actually dried gesso things that I've painted. And little objects in there, and yeah, they're.
What about this one? This one looks like a travel one.
Yeah, it's a spiritual one. Okay. Yeah, it's Buddhism. Yeah, and I added little things. I don't know if they're going to stay or not. I'm starting to feel like I should take some of them off. And but as I work on it, a lot of mothers and children, a lot of different people. A lot of this is pieces from my paintings and etchings, that in a collage. Usually I don't really figure out what they are about unless I have to talk to them. If I have to give a speech on them, then I find the meaning, but not while I'm doing it mostly, Some are obvious, mother and children, and that. But others are things I have to discover later, yeah.
Your art.
I feel great, usually. I feel, that when I have a good day and it leads to different things and it flows, yeah. The other day, surprisingly, I've never had a day like that where I've, ended up destroying a lot of work. I kind of went too far with it and I ended up tearing it up, and I felt okay about it, I ended up tearing it and then eventually just doing nothing, but I thought that was part of the process. I have confidence, because sometimes, you'll know just exactly where things will go. Sometimes you don't know how they go, so it's different. Of course, when you're involved and things flow, it's like going to heaven, dying and going to heaven. That was music, God. But other times, sometimes it's a struggle, but I don't force anything. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come, and I put it aside and do something, you work on something else, because I don't believe in forcing things, I believe when they're ready, they appear. I don't know, sometimes it just feels like a feather should be on a painting. I don't know why, like I put a feather on here, possibly, here I put feathers on, I don't really have an explanation. It's just like, it feels like that's right, it fits, it should be.